2023 was an epic year in gaming marked by some unforgettable trends and innovations. From indie gems to blockbuster hits, it's been a roller coaster of quality this year, and we're diving into a tier list ranking these titles from S to trash. But remember, gaming is all about personal taste. These are my picks from the 35 games I've experienced both on and off camera. To kick things off, we're going to start with Starship Troopers Extermination. It was released into early access way back in May, and has received several updates and changes since then. OWI has done a fantastic job capturing the nostalgia the series brings, putting you in the shoes of a trooper facing the onslaught of giant bugs. I'll be placing this one in the B tier. While it's fun with friends, it's not something I would just jump in and play by myself. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released on August 18th as a team-based PvP survival horror game in the vein of Dead by Daylight. The biggest difference here is there are 3 killers running around with the 4 survivors, a total of 2 to 3 maps, and I wouldn't expect any future content for the game. They've lost more than half their initial player base in the first month, so I'm giving this game a C. It's not a bad game by any means, and most of the bugs have been fixed, but why wouldn't I just play Dead by Daylight? Humanitz dropped into early access on September 18th as an isometric zombie survival game, the only real competitor for Project Zomboid. I played it for about an hour. I personally don't see the appeal to this game. The controls felt clunky and I wasn't having a great time. It's probably just me. The Steam reviews are mostly positive, but Humanitz is going in the D tier for me. Maybe I'll give it another chance when the game leaves early access. Contraband Police is the newest version of Papers, Please. It puts you as a border officer at the checkpoint of a fictional country. You'll search vehicles and verify documents, looking for contraband and wrongdoers. It's a game that challenged me to read everything quickly enough to get as many cars through as possible. It's a great game and worth picking up. It's definitely going in the A tier. The Greyhill Incident was released on June 9th as a survival horror alien game. The game was a flop, not for the atmosphere, but for the story beats that made no sense. In the beginning, sorry, my internet caveman's coming out. Anyway, at the start of the game, your dog runs off into the cornfield and you don't even go after him. You head back into your house. The aliens aren't really a threat. You can hide from them, or you can just mash the E key when they grab you. If you're not ready on that key, they just kind of kill you and you have to reload at your last checkpoint. This game is getting thrown into the trash. While they nailed the atmosphere, that is all they nailed. Shadows of Doubt is set in a dystopian future with some noir flair. You play as a private investigator solving murders, spying on people, and committing some public humiliations that would probably get you an assault charge. The game is completely open for you to explore and approach every case and job however you want. For its unique mechanics, I'm putting this game in the S tier. Hogwarts Legacy was released back in February. It is hands down the best Harry Potter universe game. It captures the scale of Hogwarts, the grounds, the Forbidden Forest, and Hogsmeade. While other villages are on the map, none of them felt as significant as the main stage areas. The combat was fluid and fun, with nearly endless combos, and plenty of side things to do, from flying challenges, combat challenges, and capturing creatures. There's a lot for you to do, but this game did not have the staying power as other titles on this list have, so I will be giving it a A rank. The Walking Dead Destinies was one of the worst games of 2023. Its goal was to tell the story of seasons 1 through 4 of The Walking Dead and let the player choose the outcome of major events. Like the ending of Season 2, it's still a great concept, but it was poorly executed with clunky combat, bad visuals, and boring and repetitive gameplay. This game is going where it belongs, in the trash. The Day Before. One of the biggest scams to ever hit the internet, with delay after delay and lies about mechanics and features, to small server counts and a sea of nearly endless bugs. The Day Before went from being the most anticipated game of 2023 to the most hated game to ever hit the market. This game is going straight where it belongs, to the trash pile. Lethal Company is a small, simple game that has nailed its atmosphere and is a beloved surprise for the year. With VoIP being comedy gold and all the mysterious and weird creatures, and my friends becoming pro voice actors in mere seconds, It's a game well worth its price, and I'll be putting Lethal Company in the S rank. Payday 3 had a rocky release, but it's got some great changes for the franchise. It launched with 7 or 8 missions, and it just recently got 2 more. From the stealth changes and the hostage changes, the game is a blast, but it currently lacks in the variety of maps and ways to play, whereas Payday 2 has a little more freedom and option. I know it'll get more over time, and the team is working to add more features and changes for Payday 3. But I'm going to have to give it a B. The Finals is a new take on the FPS genre, making it a competitive over-the-top game show where teams of 3 compete to extract the most cash within a time limit. The game features 3 classes that have their own abilities and weapons, a nearly fully destructible 4 maps, and 2 game modes. This game is an adrenaline rush, and I'm going to be giving it an A. Starfield is Bethesda's latest title, set far into the future when man has left Earth and colonized several planets and systems. With custom shipbuilding, you can hire entire crews and have your own bases in different systems across the galaxy. The game lacks in the biggest aspect of exploration. The planets feel empty and copy-pasted. If you land in a random spot, the terrain will be generated based off the biome you've landed in, but its POIs are the same with maybe 20 to 25 different ones. So if you explore, you're going to see the same ones quite often, and I'll be giving Starfield a C. 6 Days in Fallujah is a realistic shooter that puts you in the shoes of Marines during the Second Battle of Fallujah, fighting terrorists in several combat missions where the terrain is generated every time you load in, so no mission is ever the same. Currently, 7 or 8 combat missions are available that will test your teamwork skills. Besides the setting and the visuals, the biggest appeal to this game is the audio. The game stands out with interior and exterior sounds having huge differences, and I'll be giving this game a B rank. If you play 6 Days in Fallujah, you should listen to a playlist on Spotify called Kicking Doors in Fallujah. Demonologist is a ghost hunting game very similar to Phasmophobia. It adds that you need to exorcise the spirit or ghost, demon, whatever, once you have identified it. Each map has a different exorcism, ranging from shooting it with salt from a shotgun that you put together and mixing some witch-like concoctions. While the game is initially scary, it does lose its fear factor over time. If you play a map multiple times, you'll eventually know where all the jump scares are, and I'll be giving Demonologist a C. Total Conflict Resistance is a Mount and Blade meets Hearts of Iron game. You'll manage a country and its diplomacy, ensuring that you can supply your military with food, weapons, and vehicles. You'll also need to keep your population happy. The Mount and Blade aspect comes in with troop movement and battles. You'll fight your battles head-to-head with the enemy in the shoes of one of your soldiers, and you can swap between them at any point. And I'll be giving Total Conflict Resistance a B. The Walking Dead Betrayal was a social deduction game with little to offer on its launch. You could play as a traitor or one of the many other survivor roles. You'd have to work together while trying to figure out who was the traitor amongst the group. As you're working together to escape, if you died, you would play as a walker, and you could amass large hordes and cause general chaos for everyone. It was shut down in December. If the game was still around, I'd give it a C. Polybridge 3 is more Polybridge. You have more maps, more tools, and more ways to shake things up. It's a solid B. The Invincible is a narrative walking simulator with some choices and puzzles. You wake up on a planet, missing your memory, and start by looking for your crew. It's a gorgeous game that had some bugs at the start. If you're down for a good story, it's great for that. There isn't much else. You're just walking around, point to point. I'd give it an A for the set pieces and the story it tells. Atomic Heart is set in a futuristic city with a major malfunction to its robots. It tells a action-packed narrative along with some awkward and funny moments.
What the fuck? Fuck me!
Oh, what a stud! I can't get enough. Jocks, let me tie you to the bed, baby.
It still makes my skin crawl. The game is mostly known for its melee combat, visual prowess, and those 2 robots. I'd give them, the game, an A. Surviving the Abyss is an underwater colony survival simulator. You'll need to combat housing, power, food, and oxygen needs. You'll also need to be prepared for the creatures deep in the dark. It reminds me a little bit of Frostpunk. I'm going to be giving it a B. Forspoken is about a young woman who gets transported to another world by some magical gauntlet. The game was good as far as combats and visuals go. The story and the banter between the girl and the gauntlet was kind of awkward. The story itself was meh. I also remember not finishing the game. I'm going to be giving it a D. House Flipper 2 recently came out, and it's an amazing upgrade from the first game. They've redone all the tools and how they work. There is a building mode. You can build houses now for others to flip freely or via a quest. All that's missing right now is blinds, curtains, and the ability to build sloped walls. Overall, I'm giving it an A. World War II Rebuilder is exactly what it sounds like. The Second World War is over, and you can help rebuild in England, France, and Germany with several maps and set pieces. It's a great game if you want something to kick back and relax with. I'll give it a C. Kerbal Space Program 2, honestly, if they didn't release that science update recently, it'd be getting a lot lower rank. Now that we have the science update, we actually have some progression in the game. You'll need to complete missions and collect data in space as you progress further and further into the atmosphere, which will let you progress further into the 4-stage tech tree. This game is going to be getting a B rank. Company of Heroes 3 is a World War II RTS that was released way back in February. It came with a Total War style campaign map, while the multiplayer mostly remained the same, with there being 4 playable factions on release. I mostly did play the multiplayer, since I found the campaign to be a bit clunky, so I'll be giving it a B rank. Ready or Not is a successor to the SWAT games. You and up to 4 of your friends can clear several maps with varying situations, from robberies gone wrong to trafficking rings. This game puts you in realistic scenarios, and some of them will creep you out. Its AI has been improved and will make judgment calls based on its level of training, surroundings, and current status. I'm giving Ready or Not an S tier rank. We can't talk about the games of 2023 without discussing the behemoth that is Baldur's Gate 3. If you somehow have no idea what this game is, it's essentially D&D the video game. It's taken the world by storm with its length, quality, and sheer scale for Western RPGs. If you're someone who does everything in the game, including main quests, side quests, and exploring every nook and cranny of the map, it's going to take you around 200 hours to finish the game. And I'll be giving it an S rank. Total War PHARAOH is the latest fully historical Total War game, but it's got plenty of issues. All the factions in the Bronze Age aren't here, and the game scope is way too small for a Total War game, only focusing on the collapse of the Bronze Age. When it could have started at the start of the Bronze Age, went to its height, and then collapsed, and then a bit after. It would have given the tech tree much more to offer and to work with. It's not a bad game, but it's not a good one either, so I'm gonna have to give it a D rank. Battlebit Remastered took the internet by storm, providing what Battlefield 2042 failed to do. It has classes of no-name operators with respective guns and utility items. The game also featured 128 versus 128 player lobbies. While the game does look like Roblox, it has great gameplay. Although since release, recent updates have upset some of the player base, and I'm personally just not a fan of the game, so I'll be giving it a C. Darkest Dungeon 2 changes things up from the first game. Instead of exploring dungeons with your party, you'll be traveling on the road to a boss dungeon, encountering treasures, dangers, and people in need along the way. I'm unsure if I'm bad at the game, but I thought this one was a lot harder than the first title. Either way, Red Hook Studios did a fantastic job with this, and I'll be giving it a B. Ghosts of Tabor, or as I call it, VR Tarkov. It's basically what it is. You go into a raid, you get loot, shoot some NPCs and players, and extract. It's an exhilarating experience in the VR perspective. It'd be great if in the moments of excitement I stopped slamming my hand into the wall, but that's a me issue. Since release, they've expanded the quest variation, things you can do in your hideout, and weapons and attachments. I'm giving Ghost of Tabor an A. Cities Skylines 2 has had plenty of debate on its release. It has plenty of player-wanted features in the base game now, like the Industry DLC is already in the game. More control over your roads and traffic flow, which in my opinion still wasn't quite enough, but I'll take it. Deeper simulation of people living their lives from birth to death in 2 live streams, so in about 6 to 8 hours, in one city. I had seen all the game currently has to offer for the most part. I probably won't play it again until the next DLC drop. But I am going to go ahead and give it a B. Xenonauts 2 dropped into early access, and it's basically the same game with quality of life improvements and some big changes to the environment. Its environments are now destructible, there's camera rotation, and other noteworthy changes. Since its release, they've hit 2 of their milestones of the planned development, and they plan on adding more weapons, aliens, and other features. I'm giving Xenonauts 2 an A. Our last game is the Outlast Trials. It's a co-op survival horror game where you and your friends are all patients and experiments to test your teamwork and adaptability. At the same time, I didn't really find the game all that scary. It does jump scare you a good amount if you're unprepared for it. The most disturbing thing that's in the game is probably when you're in the church and you have to saw some guy's legs off while he's screaming the whole time. But I'm going to give the game a B. With all of our games ranked, let's quickly go through and see what is in each rank. In the S tier, we have Lethal Company, Shadows of Doubt, Baldur's Gate 3, and Ready or Not. In the A tier, we have Hogwarts Legacy, Contraband Police, The Finals, The Invincible, Atomic Heart, House Flipper 2, Ghosts of Tabor, and Xenonauts 2. In the B tier, we have Total Conflict Resistance, Payday 3, Starship Troopers Extermination, 6 Days in Fallujah, Polybridge 3, Surviving the Abyss, Kerbal Space Program 2, Company of Heroes 3, Darkest Dungeon 2, City Skylines 2, and the Outlast Trials. There's a lot of 2s and 3s in there, holy cow. In the C tier, we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Starfield, Demonologist, The Walking Dead Betrayal, World War II Rebuilder, and Battlebit Remastered. In the D tier, we have Humanitz, Forspoken, and Total War PHARAOH. And in the trash pile is the Greyhill Incident, The Walking Dead, Destinies, and The Day Before. Those are my ranks for games I've played in 2023. Do you agree with me, or do you think they should have been ranked higher or lower? Let me know in the comments down below.